So, hello everyone, and welcome back to STW Sports. I'm host Samuel Wright, joined by Ipswich Town fan Darryl Hood. Well, Darryl, welcome to the show. Very good to have you on. And just going to start off by asking what you think of Ipswich Town season so far. 10th currently in Sky Bet League One. What have you thought of it?
Yeah, look, there's no getting away from it. It's been a disappointing start. There's some really promising signs under the new gaffer that hopefully finally turned the corner. But let's be honest, this is Ipswich. If there's one thing that having supported this club for quite as long as I have done has taught me, it's that there's always a new nightmare following a false dawn. So look, the signs are positive at the minute that hopefully we've turned that corner, but I'm not counting any chickens just yet. Given where we are in the league at the moment and quite how much of a deficit we've got left to make up, I'm hopeful we'll make a decent tilt at the playoffs, but let's wait and see where we are near the end. Hopeful, not expectant.
Yeah, in terms of the start to the season, obviously a big overhaul really at the start of the season. I believe you're 16 arrivals, 11 of them permanent signings as well. So yeah, a lot of new faces coming in. What obviously Paul Cook, didn't really work out for him. What do you think the issue was with Paul Cook overall?
Well, I think in true typical Ipswich fashion, we've either got the bloke too late in his career and his best days are already past him, or in this particular instance, as I think was much the case with Lambo or Shambo as he's now become known, I think we managed to get the main man, but we didn't get the brains behind the throne. Liam Richardson staying in Wigan was obviously a bit of a blow for us. A lot of Paul Cook's backroom staff were pretty much new faces in terms of their coaching experience. Franny Jeff has had a little bit up at Everton, so I gather. Gary Roberts had done maybe a very, very little bit at Accrington, and I suspect he might have been brought in a little bit in part for his previous Ipswich connections. But to be honest, I just think we maybe didn't get the right backroom setup in place properly to fully support Paul Cook. That being said, he's his own man. He said he could do it. He said he could make it work. And to be honest, I think he was a little bit found out.
Yeah, in terms of the new manager, Kieran McKenna, of course, his first proper job in management. I'll leave this to Ipswich. Had a good start so far. There, of course, the 1-0 win over Wycombe Wanderers and then a 4-0 win against Gillingham in your last game. Obviously, early days yet, but are you hopeful under McKenna? A young manager, obviously, got a lot to prove.
Now, look, I think Ipswich fans, we've been hung up on getting the quote right sort of manager for a long time now. Whereas what I think the right sort of manager is going to be the one that gets us results. We quite rightly turned the screw on the club and the previous owner Marcus Evans to move Mick McCarthy on. For whatever reason, the football was becoming stale, and I think the club was dying very, very slowly by 1,000 cuts. So the fans, I think, had a huge influence in turning that manager away from the club. Paul Hurst, obviously, we all know how that one worked out for him and for us. Paul Lambert, again, not the right sort of person, not the right sort of manager for us. Paul Cook, great track record, not the right sort of manager for us, just didn't do the business. We've now got Kieran McKenna in, comes massively highly regarded. He's worked right at that top level. The bloke is just hungry to succeed. You can see it written right through him. You can almost see in everything he's said so far about the club, he's got really high standards, high expectations. And I think you can see already the players want to play for him. The players want to learn from him. The players want to be involved in this project. And I'm not saying they necessarily didn't want to be involved before when they were playing for Paul Cook, but for whatever reason they weren't willing to go that extra yard for him. I think there's a huge amount to be said for playing a more attacking system that plays to our strengths, that plays to the strengths of the players we've got at the club at the minute. Having two up front, I think we've been crying out for that for the last 10 years to have two high quality, high intensity attacking players. And in Macaulay Bonn and James Norwood, we seem to have a really good strike pairing with a great understanding. Look, I'm going to be the first one to say when we signed Sonny Aluko at the start of the season, I thought, hang on. This guy's best days were behind him and his best days weren't even that good. But already he's made himself into a really important player for us. There were flashes of it earlier on in the season. I'm thinking back to the Sunderland game in particular, where he just tore every time he got on the ball, he just tore Sunderland apart. Unfortunately, there was no end product in that particular game. But you go back to the game most recently against Gillingham. He played a delightful ball through. I think it was for Penny, who crossed for one of our goals. I think he's going to be an absolutely vital player for us, just linking, playing those sorts of intelligent balls through to a really highly motivated strike force. But going back to the question, particularly about Kieran McKenna, I think we've got a manager now who looks the part. He looks like a winner. He looks like he's got a plan B. He's got a plan C. He's got a plan D. He's got a clear footballing philosophy about how he wants to play. But bottom line of it, I think for him is he'll play the style of play that's going to get us results and get us out of this league in the longer run.
Yeah, and also one of the shining lights of the season from an Ipswich point of view has been Macaulay Bonn. Of course, he is on loan at the moment from Queen's Park Rangers, which is a bit of a disadvantage because obviously if he does do very well, I'm sure QPR will be wanting him back in the summer. But he's been very good, 12 goals, obviously an Ipswich born lad as well. So he's obviously got that going for him as well. What have you made of him? But also, on the other hand, Joe Pigott, who hasn't really discovered that form we saw from him at AFC Wimbledon. What have you made of the strike force sort of area this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've also got to look at the one who's maybe already got away in Louis Barry as well. You know, came to us massively highly regarded. The lads played at La Masia over in Barcelona. So I think we had an embarrassment of riches at the start of the season. In the striking department, maybe left a little bit light in one or two other departments, but we were very much a work in progress at the start of the season. Macaulay Bonn, I think, has rapidly made himself a bit of a cult hero amongst the fans. And God knows we were crying out for one, someone who we could claim as one of our own. We lost, obviously, Andre Dazelle and Flynn Downs over the close season. So maybe we'd lost a little bit of that link, that heritage we've always had, that link to the academy of having grown our own players. But I'm really positive that we should be able to put some sort of a deal on the table for QPR to make him maybe a little bit more one of our own in the longer term. Obviously, the wider football economy is going to play a massive part of that. We've only seen today. I think Chris Wood looks likely to disappear across the Pennines and reappear at St James's Park. And then there's talk that maybe they might that Burnley might be raiding Loftus Road to bolster their striking ranks as well. So there might be a need on their part for Macaulay Bonn to make his way back to London. I'm really hopeful not. Obviously, Macaulay himself has come out on a number of occasions and said, look, he feels at home. He's giving that extra 10, 15, 20% because he's playing for his club. I think I speak for all Ipswich fans when I say, Macaulay, if you're watching this, we want you to stay, mate. We want you to be a big part of the future that Kieran's building at the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, many Ipswich fans will feel the same as yourself. But going to go on the season so far now in terms of results of the season. You've had some good results really this season. I mean, obviously, it's been a very mixed start for the club. But what for you has been the standout result this season for Ipswich and the best performance?
The best performance and standout result, I'd say probably the absolute annihilation of Portsmouth. They never got a sniff of us. Did not get near to us the whole game long. They could probably still be out there now and wouldn't have scored. I remember saying to a lot of people, I think our season started now. I think we've turned a corner and we're going to start really tearing into this league. I think it was followed up by a bit of an iffy result. I think I'm right in saying it was at home to Fleetwood. It wasn't the greatest game in the world, but it set us up nicely for a couple of other bigger games that were coming thick and fast thereafter. I've got family in that part of the world, so we went down to Plymouth, and I was optimistic we were going to get a result down there. It was a big top end of the table clash, and if we'd backed up our game against Portsmouth with a big result against Plymouth, I think we might be looking at a slightly different season now. Unfortunately, we didn't. We went down there and sort of meekly surrendered to a bit of a fortuitous 2-1. But again, then in true Ipswich fashion, we then went and dug out another really good result away at Morecambe. I was in the away end for Morecambe for Wickham rather. I was in the away end for the Wickham game, and it was one of the best footballing nights I think I've ever had. I say that as someone who was there when we beat Milan at home. So Wickham away, a 4-1 result, maybe a little bit of an undeserved 4-1 result as well. But it was a phenomenal night, and then it all went wrong again in true Ipswich fashion.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, it's all about keeping consistency, really, which maybe many Ipswich fans will argue they've lacked this season. In terms of teams you've played, though, Darryl, any team stood out for you in League One this season? Who've obviously either come to Portman Road or you've gone away from home and you've said, "Wow, they were very good to watch."
To be honest, I'd struggle to say there was an outstanding team that I'd say we'd seen come to Portman Road and had really, demolished us or played us off the park. There's been plenty of embarrassing results, but mostly because I'll be honest, and this is going to sound massively big-headed, bearing in mind we are currently sat in League One, but I've not seen any teams that I thought really destroyed us. Plymouth, I think, have probably been the best team I've seen. Best team I've seen play against us. But I'll be honest, I don't see, bearing in mind the squad we've got assembled, I don't see there's any reason why we shouldn't be going with absolutely no fear to any of the grounds in this league. You look at some of the big clubs up there that have found their way into League One, and God knows there's enough of them now. But even the likes of Sunderland, a genuinely massive club, and my brother, who's a Newcastle fan, will not like me saying that, but we went up there and we battered them and lost 2-0. But they're no great shakes. They're nothing to write home about. They will have got back on the coach and gone home to wherever it is they go home to after a game, and thought, how the hell have we come away with 3 points here? We gift wrapped it for them. Absolutely gift wrapped it for them. But I'll be honest, that there aren't any teams in this league who you think they're going to walk away with it. They're a head and shoulders above the rest. They're championship material. They're going to be looking at going up this season and then taking that next step. I just don't see it. I really just don't see it.
Yeah, we're going to ask some memory questions now, Darryl, as well. And we're going to talk about 17 consecutive seasons in the Championship for Ipswich Town. Obviously, the Championship's notoriously known as a league very difficult to get out of, really. Do you think that's kind of summed up for Ipswich, really, the fact you're in the league for so long, and obviously it always seems so difficult to go back to the Premier League, of course, where you previously spent a couple of seasons, and one of them was a very good season when you made it into Europe. Does it sum up, really, how difficult the Championship really is, the fact you were stuck in it for so long?
Well, look, let's not make any bones about it. I think we found it fairly easy to leave when we decided to use the trapdoor. We went down and absolutely surrendered, disappeared without a trace. You've only got to look at the likes of Derby making a real fight of it this year to see quite how inept, to see quite how feeble we were in the season we got relegated. But no, I mean, there were plenty of opportunities for us to make a real go of getting out of the Championship at an earlier stage. I remember when we went down and those few hardy souls enjoyed a pretty torrid night up at Grimsby before George Burley was eventually given the shove. We then obviously brought in Joe Royle, and I'll be honest, I was again one of the first in line going, this is not a bloke we want, this is not a guy we want at our club. And I was delighted to say I was entirely wrong. He brought an exciting, attractive brand of attacking football to the club, and we were knocking hard on the door for promotion. Had we made it over the line, had we not been hit by administration, had we not had to have a fire sale of everyone who had a vague amount of talent during that period, we might be looking at an entirely different club now. And you've only got to look at the likes of Southampton, of Leicester, of Burnley, necessarily who are perhaps sort of similar sized clubs, and how they've made a real go of the Premier League. And God knows, Leicester have been Premiership champions. If you'd said that a decade ago, I think you probably would have been laughed at, and possibly quite rightly so. But the Championship is a tough league. But how many times we've seen a team that gets promoted out of League One then has a bit of momentum behind them, has a bit of investment behind them, has the right combination of young, hungry players, hungry manager, a board who's willing to back them to the hilt, and you've seen them make that investment after promotion out of League One and then go and take the Championship by storm. In terms of a business model, it's not hugely different to what Ipswich did in terms of coming out of the Championship back in the early 2000s and then going and absolutely laying into the Premiership, making the astute investments, getting the right players, getting the right team around the club and taking it on to the next level. I'm optimistic that we seem to have the right manager. I hope we've got the right manager now. I've never seen I've not seen such a talented group of players around Portman Road, maybe for 15 years. And that's how far I'd go back and say this is possibly one of the strongest squads we've put together in that time. There's no reason why we can't get ourselves out of League One and go into the Championship and give it a really, really good run now, and see where we go to from there. But I think you hit the nail on the head. The first priority is get out of League One, then get ourselves back into the Championship and see where we go from there. But there's absolutely no reason why we wouldn't be an attractive proposition for players coming in and then going in and seeing what damage we can do in the next league up.
Yeah, before I touch on the Premier League season in 2000-2001, I do want to speak about your promotion by the playoffs in 2000, a 4-2 win over Barnsley in the final it was. The 3 previous years, of course, you were beaten in the playoff semi-finals as well. So
and I remember them all.
That must have been a huge relief, really, for Ipswich, of course, to get over the line and, of course, beat Barnsley. What are your memories of that day and, of course, that season as a whole?
Well, I'd go back to the playoffs. I remember the playoffs against Sheffield United, the playoffs against Charlton, the playoffs against Bolton, and the Bolton ones perhaps stick more than others. The season we got promoted, I couldn't beg, steal, or borrow a ticket to the Reebok. And again, what a game that would have been. 2-0 down. David Johnson, our absolute goal machine, going off injured after, frankly, it was an assault, but not hugely unusual for a Sam Allardyce team. We lost Tony Mowbray to I think it was a concussion fairly early on as well. So we've lost our goal machine and our absolute rock at the back. And you sat there going, this could be a long old hot summer's afternoon. 2-0 down, and out of nowhere, there was a ball punted forward vaguely in the direction of Marcus Stewart, nodded out. Matty Holland, I think, nodded it back through, and then Stewart just swung a leg at it, and the ball just took an age to get to the back of the net, but it found right in the top corner. Jaskalainen collided with his post and just collapsed it on the floor, looking at the goal, just going, how on earth that got in? And that's it. Suddenly we were back in the game. There was, I think from memory, we brought Martin Reusser on either at halftime or early in the second half. And he found himself in the second half just running at the Bolton back line. They didn't know what to do with his pace, with his trickery, and with his gorgeous Dutch locks flowing in the air behind him. He laid in Stewie, who rounded Jaskalainen and went back, rounded him again, and just slotted it in the corner beyond a couple of Bolton lads on the line. All of a sudden, from absolute despair and carnage and broken bodies being summoned to the bench, we found it at 2-2. I was absolutely certain at that point. I was like, right, okay, the miracle's happened. This is it. We're on our way now. We go back to Portman Road, and then the I think what the Bolton fans call it, the Battle of Portman Road. The referee Barry Knight, I think, is still persona non grata in the Northwest to this day. But the Bolton end up having 2 lads sent off. Frankly, they could have had 3 or 4 sent off. It wouldn't have been unfair. And we've won 5-3. Jim Magilton has scored to this day the best hat trick world football's ever seen, and missed a penalty. His volley from the edge of the box after a very hopeful long ball forward, nodded down by Mowbray, is just a thing of beauty. Nutmegged the defender on the way through. It's one of the best goals you'll ever see. For anyone that hasn't seen it, just go away and watch it. Watch the YouTube highlights. It's one of the best games of football you'll ever see as a neutral, under the lights, a proper rocking Portman Road. It was an outstanding game. It was a thing of absolute beauty. And then on to the final. God knows how, but we managed to get 3 tickets to Wembley. It was an amazing day out, walking down the old Wembley Way, the old Twin Towers, with the proper split fans, blue on the left, red on the right, and there was just an atmosphere. It was a carnival atmosphere. Loads of fun with both Barnsley and Ipswich fans, just sharing a beer in the middle of Wembley Way, chatting about football. To this day, I think most Ipswich fans would probably say they've got a bit of a soft spot for Barnsley from that game. and then 70 odd thousand fans in full voice at Wembley, absolutely backing both teams to the absolute hilt. And then I think I said this word more than anything else when I've been talking about Ipswich so far. Disaster after just a few minutes. Brilliant shot. I forget the name of the lad now who took Craig Hignett. Absolutely leathers it, runs from midfield, leathers it from the edge of the D, comes back off the crossbar, off my hero as a kid, Richard Wright's arm. And you've got to remember that point, Richard Wright was one of the hottest goalkeepers in English football. The heir apparent to David Seaman, expected to be called up for the England squad to go to, I think it was the European Championships that year. And yeah, it's gone in off his elbow, off his back. I remember turning to my old man, just going, This isn't supposed to be happening. You know, it's Ipswich. We finally got to Wembley. We've got to win this. It's written. It's supposed to happen. And my dad just said, it's early days. Don't worry, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I was just bereft. I was distraught because we hadn't even started. We were a goal down. Moving on, we then got a couple of corners and we start knocking on the door. First corner comes in, Jim Magilton swings it, back stick, it's headed out. Clapham lays it back to Magilton, swings it in deep cross to the back stick. And Tony Mowbray, the old warhorse, 36 years old, I think. He's gotten above his mark, and he's gotten 3 foot above his mark. He's absolutely dominated in the air and smashed a header in at the back stick. I know how he celebrated from having watched the video back afterwards, but there was just delirium in the stands. Absolute carnage in the stands. I've never seen or felt. I've got goosebumps now just thinking about it. And we're back in it. We're suddenly back in it. And from that point on, I genuinely felt there is only one winner. Of course, then we're Ipswich. We go and we've given away a penalty. Just before half time as well, I think it was from memory. And it was a penalty. There's no getting away from it. I know there's a lot of Ipswich fans have said, Richard Wright didn't touch the Barnsley lad running in, but as soon as you go diving out like that, you're giving the referee an opportunity. It's a penalty. He's pulled off a save, and again, that's just reinforced the feeling that if not your name's on the trophy, then certainly the writing was on the wall that we were heading in the right direction. Follow it up with goals from Marcus Stewart, a gorgeous cross from Jamie Clapham down the left, who, by the way, I want to go on the record and say should have played for England. Some Ipswich fans might disagree with me there, but no doubt in my mind he should definitely have got England caps. When you look at some of the absolute belters who have played for England since, Clapham should definitely have at least got 1 cap. Gorgeous cross, Stewart, glancing header across the goalkeeper, 2-1. Naylor picked up the third, having come on as a substitute for David Johnson, who's gone off injured early doors as well. A little flick over the goalkeeper, and yes, we're 3-1 up. That's it. Just hold this. Whatever you do, Town, just hold this now. Nothing clever, nothing silly. Just sensible football. Keep the ball, keep them away from the net. Tony Mowbray's given away a penalty, 3-2. Brilliant penalty it was. And suddenly we're starting to rock again. We're looking a bit wobbly. No, Tan, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. There's then a cross comes in, and Richard Wright has made a save from Georgie Christoph, point blank range. I'll never know how he saved it. Never know how he saved it. It's scrambled away, and that would have been 3-3. We've gone down the other end, and Martin Roycer, have I mentioned his gorgeous flowing locks yet? He's run straight through. He's beaten the Barnsley defender and just lashed it into the back of the net. With seconds left on the clock, we're 4-2 up. We're in the Premier League. The captions on all the posters, Roycer Premiership, and that was the bit where we were finally home and hosed. You see the footage of the bench going nuts. You've got Dale Roberts, who's sadly no longer with us, jumping around in George Birdie's arms. And I know the club means so much to George. It really meant something to him that he had finally guided us back to the Premier League after God knows how many times of knocking on the door. So often we were the bridesmaids in the playoffs, and we were finally called up to the big time. And look what happened next. What a season followed.
Yeah, I was going to say, of course, after winning that playoff final, I don't think you'd have imagined. I think you'd have taken 17th, but I don't think you'd imagine finishing fifth in the Premier League. Must have been a phenomenal season, really, from an Ipswich point of view. And yeah, I take it you were just enjoying the ride, really. And of course, fifth place, obviously, yeah, it was a fairy tale, really, for Ipswich.
Oh, it was, and there were so many great nights. I don't even know where to start. I'd say probably the pick of the results wasn't even a win. It was probably the draw at home against Manchester United, and we played Manchester United a couple of times since we'd got relegated from the Premier League previously, including an absolutely outstanding night in the Coca-Cola Cup. Showing my age there, referring to the League Cup as the Coca-Cola Cup, but yeah, it was a hell of a night. Again, under the lights at Portman Road. A terrific goal that night in the cup from an Ipswich fullback in Maurizio Tirico, absolute legend of the club. And in the Premier League against Manchester United, it was another fullback who scored for us that day, in Fabian Vilnius. And God knows what our right fullback was doing as the most advanced attacker at that point. But I think that was just a mark of how much we'd grown as a club. We're playing some really, really good, organic, flowing football long before the Barcelona project was really even a thing. We played really fluid, dynamic style. And Fabian's gone up and drilled a goal. I think it was past Fabian Barthez back then. And he's run off and he scored so few goals, trusted Fabian. It looked like he didn't even know how to celebrate. He just didn't know what to do with himself. He looked as surprised as we were. But that's it. At the end of the day, we'd gone up there and we'd given a proper account of ourselves. Another day that probably stands out was Marcus Stewart and another player who should have played for England. He scored an absolute worldie against Liverpool. I'm sure it was in front of the Kop. He's beaten the whole of the Anfield back line one at a time. He'd gone right the way across the back line and beaten them all one at a time, and slotted past, I want to say, Westerveld. There were so many great days and nights while we were up in the Premier League. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, of course, must have been some fantastic memories there. Unfortunately, it didn't go so well, of course, the season after, but we won't really mention that. I just want to ask about your favourite ever Ipswich Town player and manager, Darryl. If you had to choose favourite player and manager, who would you go with?
Now, I'm a lot younger than I look, so I can't talk about any of the great players from maybe the Bobby Robson era or the Sir Alf era. I'd have to go with ones that I've seen in the flesh myself, and I'm going to go with I can't really split them. I've got to go for Martin Reusser. Just some of the goals he scored were phenomenal. And he scored. He was a scorer of big goals, important goals. He didn't get the sixth in a 7-0 thrashing of someone. He scored. He was a player for the big occasions. So Martin Reusser, the Flying Dutchman, would probably be one of them. And I'd say the Flying Finn, Sheff Kikuchi, another favourite of mine. For his absolute never say die attitude. He'd run through brick walls for the club. I remember when he first signed for us, it looked like he was just a battering ram. It looked like he couldn't trap a bag of cement. He was not the finished article. He grew with the club. He gave his all for it. He's been back. He tried to become the manager 2 or 3 times as well. The club still means a hell of a lot to him. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of the fans would probably say he still means quite a lot to us as well.
Yeah, and of course, favourite manager as well, if you haven't mentioned already, Darryl.
Favorite manager. I think I grew up. George Burley was the first manager I really clocked onto. And I think a lot of us still owe him a huge debt of thanks for what he did for us. Guiding us back into the Premier League, establishing re-establishing a culture of a certain way of playing football at the club during what was a pretty difficult time for us. But also, I've got to say, I love the Joe Royle era as well. He oversaw some really great times for us. We had some great results. I particularly enjoyed a win away at Norwich. Danny Haynes' handball last-minute winner was a particular favourite. yes, getting kettled by the police afterwards maybe a little bit less fun, but upsetting Norwich in their own patch. Yeah, what's not to like about that? So yeah, I'd be hard pushed to split the two.
Yeah, I was going to ask as well about the rivalry with Norwich City. Kind of a rivalry that we haven't seen a lot of in the last few years, really. What's your favourite memory against Norwich, really, and what are your thoughts on the rivalry in general between the two?
Look, there's no getting away from it. They're in a much better place than us at the minute. I remember taking my then girlfriend, now wife, to Portman Road to see us absolutely destroy them. We had Giovanni Dos Santos on loan from Spurs, and he tore them apart. We'd not long been taken over by Marcus Evans from memory. So we were suddenly flush with cash. They were looking like they were about to disappear into the abyss of League One. I remember quite happily singing, "We'll never play you again." I was a little bit wrong on that. We've played them once or twice since. It hasn't gone entirely to plan. But I think there is a healthy rivalry between the two clubs. I don't think it's the sort of toxic rivalry you necessarily see at a few others. I think the local constabulary could probably try and take a leaf out of the fans' books and realise that we're not the sort of clubs, or in my experience, we're not the sort of clubs that like to knock lumps out of each other. There is a healthy rivalry between the two. I've no doubt that our time will come again where we play them on a slightly more regular basis. And I quite look forward to the day where we look down on them in the way they're looking down on us at the minute. In terms of favoured memories, I remember there was a particularly good 5-0 home win. Alex Matthew scored 2, and the criminally underrated Bobby Petter. Alex Matthew scored 3, and Bobby Petter scored 2. 5-0 win. That was a particular highlight of mine. But honestly, until you've won at their place with literally a last-minute hand winner, the ref hasn't seen it. Yeah, that'll do. That's got to be one of my all-time favourite Ipswich moments. Never mind just favourite moment from beating them up the road.
And that does certainly sound a good way to, of course, defeat the rivals. We're going to move back to the present now, Darryl, anyway. This Saturday, you travel to Bolton Wanderers. Obviously, Bolton are a club who've been through a lot in the last few years. Earlier on in the season, Bolton did beat Ipswich 5-2 at Portman Road as well, in what was a very entertaining game. Bolton have been a club in decline in the last couple of months, really. Their results have really took a downward turn, and they're now 18th in the table. Do you fancy yourselves to go to Bolton and get a result?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I don't think Bolton are necessarily the club that we ought to fear. They're not the club they were of last season when they were having to play, whatever kids they could find playing football in the streets outside the stadium. They've got a bit. Oh, sorry, the season before they've got a bit of investment behind them now. They're a club that's hopefully back on the up. Look, I'll be honest, for a long time after they beat us in the playoffs, they're a club that I couldn't bear the look of. I couldn't bear Sam. I still can't stand Sam Allardyce. But as a club, I don't want to see them disappear into the abyss. I don't want to see them go to the wall or anything daft like that. I think it's going to be a good test for where we're at now. I think it's going to be an opportunity for Kieran McKenna to sort of lay out the fact that he's establishing a culture, a way of playing football at the club. And I think, to be honest, it's probably the right sort of game for us right now. They're not one of the top end clubs, but at the same time, they're not a Gillingham, who I think are going to be. I think Gillingham are probably done for now. The writing's on the wall for them, I would suspect. But I think Bolton are probably going to be one of the clubs that's going to be all right come the end of the season. It's a good test for us. It's probably the right club at the right time. And I know, obviously, with Kieran's Northwest connections, it's probably going to do him the world of good to put one over on them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm just going to ask as well, to make a prediction right now where you think Ipswich will finish this season in League One, whereabouts are you saying?
Oh, crikey. Okay. I'm optimistic. I think we'll make the playoffs. I think we're going to be looking at getting to the playoffs. Oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say I think we'll probably finish 5th. I'm going to go for. I'm going to be bold, and genuinely, I'll go on record now. I'm an eternal optimist. I gave an interview to Look East at the pre-season game at Milton Keynes Dons a few years ago, where I said Paul Hurst is a born winner and he will do the business for us. And look how that went. So my predictions maybe not the ones to take to the bank. I'm not much of a gambler for obvious reasons, but but I genuinely think we're going to make the playoffs. I genuinely think we're going to do the business in the playoffs as well. I think we're looking like a team who is desperate to click and start doing the damage. I think we can do it. I really, really do.
Excellent. Well, yep, that's all we got time for this evening. Anyway, Darryl, but thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you and meeting you. And yeah, good luck to Ipswich Town for the rest of the season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.